Well, I think it's important for them to do a first dance, as they are the 5th ice dancers to take the ice in this competition. And with the number of bodies here, there are 33 ice dancers entered. It's important to come out and make a great first impression.
Well, they're very solid compulsory dancers. As we saw at the European Championships, they won both compulsory dances with Rahkamo, Kokko behind them.
A little tight. I've seen them do this dance with a bit more speed and flow in practice, and perhaps being the first of the contenders out here, that weighed heavily on them.
And this year there will be 2 sets of marks for the compulsory dances.
5.6,
and the marks for technique range from 5.3 to 5.7, with 7 judges on this panel, including Canadian Jean Gardner.
Please for timing and expression. 5.7.
And now the artistic marks, and those are the best we've seen, but it is very early on, and with more on the Rhumba, here is ISU judge Jean Senft.
Compulsory dances set the stage in the ice dance competition. It's really the first time the competitors appear before the judges, so it's important to make a positive impression. Compulsories are really the technical exercises of ice dancing, where timing, partner positioning, edges, speed, and flow are assessed. The Rhumba on ice is a little more lively than the Rhumba in the ballroom, but it still should be skated smoothly with a soft, subtle knee action. The whole dance is skated in Killian dance hold. It's a challenge for the partners to stay side by side and keep this dance hold tight at the hips throughout. As we watch these 2 couples skate the Rhumba, note the difference in edge quality, with stronger edges and more body lean on the right. Approaching the hardest part of the dance, the Choctaw, the step into it should be as wide as possible. Note the difference between the couples. The edge out of the Choctaw needs to be strong and is much deeper on the right. On the step forward, judges will notice the gap at the hips on the left, while giving credit to the tight partner positioning on the right. The timing of the free legs is lagging on the left, while extension of the free legs is superior on the right. The Rhumba doesn't have a lot of different steps to the dance, but what is there is very difficult to do while maintaining a tight Killian position. Weaker Rhumbas will appear jerky, more stepped than danced, and lack a depth of edge. Stronger Rhumbas will have an almost subtle, hidden power and control, driven from the soft knee action and deep edges.
And we mentioned that they had a collision on Saturday night. She is wearing a bandage on her hand, but no further damage.
Well, she's really downplayed it. She said she's got a couple of bruises, but she's fine. What an improvement this team has made, though, this past year.
As you watch Shae-Lynn and Victor in this dance, watch their wide steps. Coming up here and then into the Choctaw. They're about as wide as you can get.
And that's a positive thing, right, Jean?
Absolutely.
One of the aspects that we were told for them moving to Klimova-Ponomarenko was work on their compulsory dances. Jean, do you see any benefit from that move at this point?
Yes, I do, Paul. They are a lot stronger than they have been. They still have a couple of little technical things that they need work on. They're having a little bit of an accordion movement here in the Choctaw, separating a bit at the hips on the second step. But certainly overall, the dance is much stronger than it has been in the past.
And how would you compare this with the teams that we've seen earlier?
I think it stands in good stead.
Canadian champion Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz. And here come the marks. A 4.8 up to 5.6 from the Canadian judge and 5.5, so the 4.8 gets a reaction.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens when they switch judging panels for the second dance to see what kind of placements they get when that happens.
Well, I think we were all a little concerned when they didn't show up at the Europeans, and a little relieved to find them here. And when we were at the practice the other day for the free dance, I think we were just stunned at how good they look. They really are the class of the field.
The ice at good speed. They have strength of stroke from their edges. They look pretty confident to me, and they're fairly tight together as a package. The second step of the Choctaw is a little slow.
Well, this particular dance only has 16 steps in it. They repeat the pattern down each side of the ice. And I like the way out of every one of the 16 steps, they pick up some speed and some drive.
But still making it look effortless.
Oksana Grishuk and Evgeni Platov of Russia.
Look at the wide step into that Choctaw. It's huge. Nice inside edge here. Nice back outside edge on his part, not so much on her part. And a good forward inside edge there again.
Please for Oksana Grishuk and Platov of Russia for technique. 5.9, 5.5.
Well, the marks come up at a 5.9 from Canadian judge Jane Garden, and 5.5s, 5.6s, and 7s. And now the second set of marks, and well, it's not unanimous. They have 5 first-place ordinals, but the Australian judge, the Lithuanian judge, have them seated second. Nevertheless, the defending world champions are in first place. The task of beating Grishuk Platov is a big one, and yet there is room in this first compulsory for them to win.
Well, if they're half as nervous as their coach, Martin Scott-Nicky, Martin has his fists clenched so hard right now. He's pacing like a cat on a hot tin roof, so he really is hoping this team lays down a good dance here.
A very soft and subtle approach to it. It's very controlled, both in its edges and in its form, and yet they still seem to be having fun with it.
Well, what's great about compulsory dances is everybody has to do the exact same steps, so it's a little easier because you're judging apples with apples as opposed to apples and oranges later on in the free dance.
This team has come under some criticism previous about the quality of their compulsory dances. Do you see a marked improvement here?
Well, actually, when I judged them in the Olympics, I thought their compulsories were quite strong, and I still do think they're quite strong.
Last year's bronze medalists at the World Championships, Susanna, Rahkamo, and Petri Kokko of Finland.
Here's a look at the Choctaw again, a nice wide step into it. Fairly good outside edges out of it, and a nice set of unison there.
What I love is the ultimate respect that they have for one another. It's really obvious when you talk to these two off the ice, and I think it's apparent on the ice as well.
And here come the marks. 5.5 through 5.8, the range for technique.
Marks please for timing and expression. 5.8.
And the second set of marks, they have first place ordinals from Australia and from Finland.
5.5.
Well, certainly not a commanding win for Grishuk Platov.
Not at all. Rahkamo Kokko second ahead of Moniotte, Lavanchy.
That concludes the
This could get very interesting.
And so the standings after the first compulsory dance, the defending world champions, Grishuk Platov with the lead, Rahkamo Kokko are second. Then
shows off Shae-Lynn and Victor's extremely strong edges. On these cross rolls from our vantage point, it looks like they even gain speed when they do them.
They're always extremely tight together. Unison is very strong. Watch their upper bodies, they hardly even move.
Nice snap to the twizzle there by Shae-Lynn.
But with a brand new set of judges for this second compulsory dance, we'll have to see if they can convince this panel that they're better than a fifth-place team out here today.
well, Paul, every judge is critical. They could have been fourth, but lost a 4-3 split for fourth place, and there was some grumbling in the Canadian camp. The Canadian judge went with Ovsyannikov and Krylova, so it's very close.
And every judge is important, as you mentioned, Chris, because on these compulsory panels, there's only 7 judges. Usually we have the luxury of 9, which tends to be an even greater equalizer.
Look at these cross rolls. The edges are extraordinarily strong, and they continue to push throughout them.
5.5.
And the judging has been a lot more interesting so far, too. In the first dance, they had second place ordinals, third, fourth, 2/5, a 7th, and an 8th. And pretty consistent set of marks there, though, 5-3 through 5-5. Now the second set, and they go up. And so far early in this second compulsory dance, Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz have first place ordinals from all 7. And with more on the Argentine Tango, here again, Jean Senft.
The Argentine Tango is a much more complicated dance than the rumba. There are more partner positions, more steps, and an introduction of cross rolls and a twizzle, that being a quick 1 revolution turn on 1 foot by the woman. This is a dance that should be skated with a considerable amount of élan. The beginning of the dance should display strong edges and a certain degree of splendor. The partners must remain close together in positioning, and the dance should flow across the ice without obvious pushing. Strength of stroke and natural glide are important. Approaching the twizzle section, watch for the twizzle itself to be crisp, as seen here, and for the partners to reconnect without reaching for each other. The cross rolls seen here should be smooth and subtle, with deep knee action and curved edges as we restart the dance. Comparing 2 couples from the beginning, note the stronger edges on the right with superior free leg extension. The partners on the left are not dancing closely together, but instead appear to be reaching for each other. On the right, there is greater power and control, giving more character to the dance. Approaching the twizzle, the one on the right will snap, while the left one will be too slow. Once again, the cross rolls have more emphasis on the right and are almost a non-event on the left. Added to the flair of the Argentine is the relationship between the man and the woman. If the couple is strong enough to perform the partner positions and the footwork prescribed, they then can concentrate on the character of the dance and skate it with the true spirit and vigor of a real tango.
In fourth place, just edging out Bourne and Kraatz by the one judge. This is a new partnership, but it has been clicking and won a bronze medal at the European Championships.
Well, it's amazing that this team has been together since only May. Seems like they've been together for years.
Edges and controlled power and knees. And I think Anjelika and Oleg are doing a good job of this. However, I think Shae-Lynn and Victor's dance had more strength of character to it. It was a little more sure.
And it's interesting, Jean, that both of the dances they're performing here, the rumba and the Argentine, originated in London.
Yes, that's true.
Anjelika Krylova and her new partner, Oleg Ovsyannikov.
5.5.
First set of marks range from 5.2 up to 5.5. How will those compare with Bourne and Kraatz?
Please, the timing and expression.
And now the second set of marks. There are 3 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 thirds. So Bourne and Kraatz right now are ahead of Krylova Ovsyannikov. So they've flip-flopped in this second compulsory dance. So far, they had 4 first-place ordinals, 2 seconds, and a third.
And we've already seen this judging panel give some placements much different from that of the first panel. So
well, it's made this compulsory ice dance event extremely exciting.
Both Oksana and Evgeni have wonderful unison in their free legs. It's very strong throughout. They have a nice tango expression, a good overall attack. Their edges are strong, and I think their timing is fine. Oops, slight falter there after the twizzle.
They look a little bit tighter in this dance, and maybe that's just the expression of the dance, but it could be the fact that they're also very surprised that they're not winning this over with 7 judges.
Oksana, Grishuk, Evgeni, Platov, and it could be that they're a little tight in this, their first competition of the year.
This is a look at the twizzle section once again. Again, that shows the extension of the free legs. Coming up to the cross rolls. They're actually not quite as strong as they should be with this couple, especially Oksana's.
Despite the troubles that Jean uncovered, 5, 6s, and 7s, the order for the first set of marks.
5.7. Please, for timing and expression. 5.8.
And the timing and expression marks go up to 5.8, and first place marks from all 7 on the panel so far for the leaders of this second CD, Grishuk, Platov.
And what's really interesting here is that we do know they have an absolutely excellent original dance. We've heard that Grishuk and Platov's maybe is not as good as this one, so things are really heating up.
Susanna and Petri, there's a much softer approach than that of Grishuk and Platov's. The edges are certainly strong enough, but I think I'd like to see a little more crispness to the tango flair.
They don't seem to have the extensions that Grishuk, Platov have.
Well, Barb, as you mentioned regarding Grishuk, Platov, I thought, like you, that Grishuk, Platov looked tight. I think these guys look tight as well. I think both of these teams realize what's on the line here, and the tension's showing. I thought both of them had easier going rumbas than what we've seen them both do here in the tango.
Competing together internationally since 1985, Susanna Rahkamo and Petri Kokko of Finland.
Jean, Grishuk, Platov made a mistake in their tango. This looked like it was skated relatively clean. How do you see it?
I think I still see Grishuk and Platov as stronger. Barb, as you mentioned, Susanna has a free leg that doesn't straighten completely when it's extended, and it throws me off a little bit.
Marks 5.5 from the Swiss judge up to 5.7 from Italy.
5.6.
He doesn't look at all happy with that.
Now timing and expression, 5.8 from the German judge, a 5.9 from Italy, and that's the one first place ordinal from the Italian judge, but the rest are seconds, and they are in second place behind Grishuk, Platov.
All right, Chris, so after the compulsories, again counting for 20% of the totals, it's Grishuk and Platov, the world champions in the lead, the Finnish team, European champions, the French, but how about Bourne and Kraatz, tied with the second Russian team, and we